Hello, and welcome back to another episode. This week, I want to share with you my Usborne Puzzle Book collection. I've talked previously, many years ago, on this channel about my love of Usborne Puzzle Books. And in that instance, I showed you why I adore, in particular, for example, Escape from Blood Castle. But I realised a few weeks ago that I have a whole shelf of Usborne puzzle books that I haven't really talked about or shared. And I figured, just as I have for my computer games and my movies and other collections, why not share the shelf, share what I've got, and hopefully invite a bit of a conversation about this fantastic series of books, but also the branching and interconnected variations of this series. And I think this is really why I wanted to talk about this today, is that there are so many flavors of Usborne puzzle books and puzzle adventures that I think there's pretty much something for anyone in that sense. If you want the story, there's some with more story. If you want the puzzles, there's some with more puzzles. If you want a challenge, there's a challenge. And if you want something a bit scary, well, they've got you covered as well. Okay, let's take a closer look at my Usborne Puzzle Books collection, starting with a couple of honourable mentions in the form of the Detective's Handbook and the Spy's Handbook. These are Usborne books, but they're not Usborne puzzle books. But I love them because they encourage and engender a very similar reaction and emotion in the reader. They are filled with intrigue and an invitation to dive into a world of testing your wits, decoding practice, message scrambling, Morse messages, newspaper messages, invisible ink. There's useful measurements, tracking birds and animals, secret ground signs on the trail. So how do you navigate using these signs? And how to catch a spy, for example, in the Spy's Handbook. And the Detective's Handbook was an invitation to solve crimes, for goodness sake. It's bound on the ring binder, so it's a little bit noisy. But it's fantastic. Hints for detectives. How far away are people, and so on and so forth. Height, and memorizing details and comparing things and figuring out what happened is at the heart of every double-page spread in the Usborne puzzle books. Stop, think, what happened? And these two are right there. And clearly Usborne understand their audience, because as a kid I loved the original versions of these books. I think these are reprints. But I've continued to love them. I still love everything that we're looking at today in this collection. So honourable mentions for Detective's Handbook and the Spy Handbook. Without a doubt. Crucial. Another version, I guess, of an honourable mention would be the young puzzle books in these large formats. Crucially, Puzzle Island, I've talked about in another video, which I'll link in the description below, was so inspirational to me, especially this cover image of this map, the sort of the 3D or 2.5D view, the angle at which you're viewing the map, the little mountains with the pathways, the villages, and the scaling of the different features inspired me to draw maps like this throughout my primary school and into high school, in fact, as well. So important to me. And I hunted for this book for ages. I lost my copy, or certainly I think at one point my copy was coming from essentially from school. So maybe I never actually had my own copy. But I was able to find one which hadn't been drawn on and wrecked. And I think that's a commonality in all of these books as well, is that often the owners are clearly just as interested in preserving the ability to do the puzzles as I was as a kid as well. So I had to find one that didn't have biro in it, frankly. But yeah, the young puzzle books series included This, which was an original, or is an original to my childhood, the Usborne Maze puzzles, similar in terms of art style and approach. Again, in terms of formatting, very similar to the puzzle books. Again, can you help them decide which way to go? And then there's a maze. So the maze puzzles, and then also the reprints of the young puzzle books. Here we have the pyramid puzzle, or puzzle pyramid rather, and puzzle jungle. And actually the puzzle jungle, not only is it very similar to Puzzle Island, and therefore immediately brings me to grin, but also actually the cover of the book is interesting. It's sort of cushioned. It's got this sort of presumably like a foam cushion inside the cover, which is actually quite pleasant to hold as well. So you have the paperback reprints, you have the paperback originals, and then you have these sort of squishy hardbacks as well, all in this larger format version. And not quite the puzzle adventures and puzzle books that I have at the core of this collection, but certainly part of the collection, and a slight tangent. So again, a bit of an honourable mention there. But really, it all begins, just as with my first video on my love of Usborne Puzzle Books, with the Escape from Blood Castle. Intrepid Ivor's attempt to get into, oh, there you go, I put my name in the book, to get into and investigate Blood Castle. And it starts with this invitation to try and get into the building. From there, I was hooked, and I haven't looked back. This is the gateway to everything that's in my collection today. And I believe I got this from Warwick Castle as a kid. And I love the idea of exploring a castle and trying to figure out the mysteries. And again, the ever-present phrase, don't turn the page yet. What did Ivor see, and how did he get out of the room? And sometimes there's a bit of a clue. You can sort of see where the character's looking and what they're noticing, perhaps, on the bookshelves in that instance. And it was a little world that you were going into. It was kind of like a computer game in that sense, almost having levels and progression and input that's required from you. And as a kid, I felt as though I was being trusted with something, if that's what I mean. I'm being trusted to figure it out. Now, of course, all of the puzzle books have answers in the back. I always do my best and did my best not to have to look at them, but also as well, you can get a little bit of a hint if you want to as well. So there are clues before you actually look at the answers. You can get a little bit of a clue that helps you along the way. And from there I have quite a few of these. There's the Search for the Sunken City, another one that I absolutely loved. This one's by Martin Oliver. And it's no accident that so much of the stuff that goes into a lot of these books is connected to the stuff that I love to do today. I'm an archaeologist by profession, and you're literally, in this instance, investigating underwater archaeology. But also it's the interpretation, the interpretive skills that you're invited to have, that you're trusted, as I say, to have, that just thrilled me. There's Journey to the Lost Temple, talk about archaeology, Pyramid Plot. And also as well, we have Ghost in the Mirror and Mutiny at Crossbones Bay. Both of these are sort of approaching danger as well. You know, we have adventure, and I suppose Blood Castle has danger, but you never really feel as though, well, no, that's not true, actually. You do feel as though you might be murdered, actually, for the inheritance. But Ghost in the Mirror hints at a whole other series of Usborne puzzle adventures that we'll come to in a moment. But I loved this one. Absolutely love it. And look at that guy's face, just running away with his scarf flying behind him because a ghost has come out of the mirror. Mutiny at Crossbones Bay, lots of fun. Very similar to, again, the sort of archaeological intrigue, but also it's got a bit of pirate Long John Silver, Treasure Island type stuff going on, which is the other half of that intrigue hook. You've got real world adventure. You've got that sort of grown up invitation to solve a mystery, to enter the world of conspiracy and intrigue. But then also as well, you've got adventure in the form of pirates as well. And sometimes in more recent years, I have found myself picking up the omnibus editions to get books which I haven't got in other formats, for example. So in this instance, I do have the Incredible Dinosaur Expedition, but Intergalactic Bus Trip and Time Train to Ancient Rome, I had always been intrigued by, again, by the lists on the back, which appear on the back of these books, but hadn't seen. So when I came across this as a grown-up, again in a charity shop, I absolutely had to get it. And it's these collections of the puzzle adventures, but also again a little bit like with the young puzzles, the reformatting of the books that I've been intrigued by. So here we have Mutiny at Crossbones Bay again. So there's the original and the new format one. Here we have the Incredible Dinosaur Expedition in its new format. And the content is the same. So if we go to let's say the first, there you go, Freddy's book. There you go. That's a clear formatted double spread page there. If we go into the republished book version, we have Freddy's book. Slight color printed difference, I guess. This is a little bit more lemon in terms of yellow on the border than the yellow in this older printed copy. There's more vibrant, saturated yellow, I guess. And actually, yeah, I guess some of the colours are slightly different. But yeah, it's been interesting to see these being reprinted. And again, in some cases, I'm literally getting ones I haven't seen before or read before. The Emerald Conspiracy was one that, again, I was intrigued by, but hadn't seen in another format. So when I saw it, I had to pick it up. I did initially slightly not like this new format. I love the old Usborne Puzzle Adventure arch at the top of the book. I love the white frame. I think they look quite good. The old ones, when they're on a shelf next to each other, they're all, again, similarly formatted. But the new ones also have their charm. The matte finish to them is quite nice. Not least because, as you'll notice, this guy, I'm having to struggle not to get a reflection coming back at the camera, whereas these guys, actually, no problem. I can have it in any angle. So I do like the matte finish, and actually I have come to appreciate how these guys work on a shelf as well. So yeah, you've got to, well, as these puzzle books taught me, you've got to be adaptable. You've got to be willing to roll with the punches. Speaking of rolling with the punches, next we have a whole series of Agent Arthur's puzzle adventures. Yes. 3 thrilling stories with puzzles to solve. And again, this was another character who I had seen listed on the back of other adventure books. Again, Agent Arthur's Desert Challenge, Agent Arthur's Mountain Mission, this kind of thing. But I'd never come across in the wild, especially as a kid. So I think as a teenager, I came across this collection, this omnibus collection of Arthur's adventures, and I definitely had to dive in. And he's brilliant. I love, see this, the action code there, a little notice board, action agency. Symbols stand for different letters. Each time symbol A is shown in a yellow box, letters B to Z, then digits 0 to 9 follow in order. So it's a little clue as to a code that may come in handy, and I love it. He's not perfect, but the bad guys are also a little bit like Tintin, actually, in that sense. This is another through thread. Again, archaeology adventure, puzzles, mystery, and Tintin. Yeah. Obviously, I've talked about my love of Tintin previously on this channel as well. And yeah, with those books, I also went on to get a couple of the reformatted versions. So Agent Arthur's Jungle Journey, which is in the omnibus, Arctic Adventure, which is in the omnibus, and The Lost Temple is one which we have seen previously. There we go. Journey to the Lost Temple. So throughout the Usborne Puzzle Adventures and the subset of Agent Arthur's adventures, you have original format and reformatted books, and they're all fantastic. Again, the world building and characterization that gets to continue when you have a character like Arthur going from adventure to adventure is fantastic. But also the invitation to dive in, perhaps with the same group of people, on subsequent adventures like Journey to the Lost Temple is also fantastic. It's almost like pack your bags, kids. We're off on an adventure, and I was always up for one. Next, we have a slight subset again in the form of English heritage books. These were seemingly published in partnership with English Heritage, but they are Usborne Puzzle Adventures. We have The Dark Knight and Castle of Intrigue, presumably sold at English Heritage sites, so castles, no doubt, and other historic sites. And they're really good. They're really again, they're drawing on the same stuff, but they have again that sort of slight aspect of hints of danger, and obviously clearly connecting them to this idea of English heritage history focus. So that's an interesting, another little subset, which finally, for the Usborne Puzzle Adventures, I have this monster. This is a 7-book collection. This is literally an omnibus, and this one has it starts out with Blood Castle, and we have, let's see, Escape from Blood Castle, Curse of the Lost Idol, Murder on the Midnight Plain, The Incredible Dinosaur Expedition, that's my third copy of that, Intergalactic Bus Trip, that's my second, Time Train to Ancient Rome, that's my second. I think I got this book after I got the trio of books in the other one. And also Danger at Demon's Cove. That book, that one, was one that as a kid I loved. And the ability to have that was no doubt one of the reasons that I dived in with this omnibus. And oh yes, I remember that. This is the Murder in Egypt, isn't it? What's it called? Just let's get to the front now. Who's Who? That's the guests on the boat. Annie in Egypt. This one is, that's it, The Curse of the Lost Idol, which appears in another omnibus, but this is actually a slightly different title, which is Solve Your Own Mystery Stories. Yeah. And here, again, we have Escape from Blood Castle. We have, this is Murder on the Midnight Plain. And we have The Curse of the Lost Idol. So, clearly, I don't mind having multiple copies of these stories. But also sometimes I just like the ability to take this one book and actually have 7 books with me in that sense. And obviously not all of these collections, these omnibuses, have the same stories in them. So over the years, I have picked up different versions. And I think this one I picked up probably long before this one. But when I saw 7 in one omnibus, oh my goodness. Again, it's another charity shop find. And also wonderfully well looked after. Again, I think there's something about about the audience. I think kids who like these like looking after them. So the Solve It Your Own series is also in turn similar to the Solve It Yourself series. Yeah. This is Murder on the Midnight Plane, which is in this omnibus. You can see the image is the same there. Solve It Yourself, Solve Your Own, and then the Puzzle Adventure. They're all subtly shifting, but all interconnected. And Murder on the Midnight Plane and Curse of the Lost Idol are two of my favourites in terms of the way the puzzles are presented, in terms of the characters. I just love just the look on some people's faces in these stories. Oh my goodness, he's dead. They're great. They're just fantastic. We also have the advanced puzzles. Yeah. So these ones always intrigued me. Usborne Puzzle Adventures Advanced level, because they have a little warning on them. See that? Warning, seriously difficult puzzles. And Murder on Main Street was the first one I saw in the library as a kid. But I think the first one I came across, or the first book I came across, was this one, another omnibus collection, 3 adventure stories with puzzles to solve, and there was a slightly heightened sense of stakes. We have Codename Quicksilver, the Cobra Consignment, and Mystery on Main Street. So I'd seen this in a library, but then I think I picked this up first and then got my hands on this at a later date. But the puzzles felt harder. They felt like more of a challenge, just actually as I was looking for a bit more of a challenge. And even, frankly, to this day, as a grown-up, I've worked through these books with other grown-ups, and they're fun. They're fun. In that sense, again, they're like a mystery room. They're like the sort of thing that people pay for as experiences. But these were doing it, back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s. So this book, let's see if it'll tell us when it was published. This one was, again, 1995. First published in 1995. And there's only so many times I can keep on saying they're fantastic, but they're absolutely brilliant. In fact, they're so brilliant that the camera simply will not focus on them. Ooh, focus. No, you see, they're just that good. I have another omnibus here. This is Puzzle Adventures, Search for the Sunken City, Danger at Demon's Cove again, and Journey to the Lost Temple. Now, to be fair, I think now, going through this collection, I think I might be able to let go of 1 or 2 of these, because I'm clearly doubling and or tripling up here and there. But that said, though, this one, it has a slightly sort of broken spine, actually. It opens naturally there, very easily, into the smuggler's tunnels. Because this is one that I remember taking on long trips, actually. It was... I think this one was bought for me second hand as a kid, and it opens naturally there as well. Actually, there's a bit of a natural break there. So I don't know. It's difficult, and I get. I'm sure you'll understand this if you're watching this. You probably already like these stories, but I'm kind of attached as well to some of the specific formats. And the specific mini collections. I don't know. I'll have to see. Because I also do want to show. Oh, yes. See, I really, again, the book opened there, but also I really remember this image, this angry-looking gang looking at our heroes. It's but yes, I do want other people to be able to discover these. So maybe it is time to be a bit judicious and maybe let go of one or two. We shall see. We shall see. Now, I hinted earlier at the sort of the scary side of the Usborne books, and as a kid, I was thrilled when I came across this. This is the Ghost Puzzle Adventures collection. 3 ghost stories with puzzles to solve. So we already have Ghost in the Mirror that we've seen today, The Vanishing Village, and The Haunted Tower. And again, look at the ghosts. They're just so cool, aren't they? The images are fantastic. This collection was a bit of a primer in that sense for me, in so much as I was already accustomed to the format, to the puzzle solving, to the mysteries, and to the, stop, don't turn the page yet. But it meant that, as I say, I was ready when I then came across a related collection of Usborne puzzle books, I guess, called the Spinechillers. Yeah, Usborne Spinechillers. We have House of Shadows, Nightmare at Mystery Mansion. There's The Haunting of Dungeon Creek, Ghost Train to Nowhere, and The Midnight Ghosts. These are absolutely up my alley. Again, all of this is up my alley, but these are even more up my alley because there's another ingredient, and that is the scary aspect, the spooky aspect. Initially, we have just these 3, Midnight Ghosts, House of Shadows, and Ghost Train to Nowhere. Clearly, they added more to the Spinechillers over the years. And again, these aren't so much, I guess, pure puzzle books as they are stories that you get to piece together the significance of the story as you go. So at the end, for example, you have, did you spot hints and clues? By the way, more about the Midnight family. So it's an invitation to pay attention to the story as you go. And they would for me, these were better than Goosebumps. That said, though, Goosebumps, I think, were aimed at a slightly younger audience compared to when I first started really reading these. Ghost Train to Nowhere. This is a hardback version. This comes from North Tyneside Library, so I got this copy as an adult. But again, at the back, did you spot, and so on and so forth. They're another way of playing with this format that fits so nicely in with this broader collection. But also, if you're into something a bit spooky, if you're after something a bit spooky, then you can be catered to. So, yeah, not quite the same as the pure puzzle adventures or the ghost pure puzzle adventures, but ghostly and spine-chilling nonetheless. Just fantastic. And finally, we come to the Usborne Whodunnits. I've only got these 2 Whodunnits. It's again a different series, a slightly different approach to the format, but similar, inviting you into a world of intrigue, trusting you to keep an eye on the clues. And in this instance, the Deck Check Detectives was the one that I had as a kid. This is my childhood copy. There you go, Mark Castles, written in the cover. And as you go, you have these little invitations to spot clues with the magnifying glasses. And as you move along, there are moments where you can start to piece together the story yourself. And at the back, we have, at the end of the story, we have a detective guide. This page will give you some help in solving the case. Numbers written here refer to the numbers inside the magnifying glasses, the clues. And then, did you spot? In mirrored writing, and this is something that again is in these Usborne books, is they really don't want to just hand you the answer, and for the most part, I think the people reading them, myself included, did not want to be just handed the answer. Also, notice the art style, very similar to Agent Arthur in that sense. Paddy Mounter, the artist. Fantastic. This book actually feels just a little bit well, it's well loved, put it that way. And I do love this story. And also the failing detective agency. So you have, when it opens up, you have Mo coming to join and be a detective at the deck chair detective agency, only to find that it's been ransacked. Oh my goodness. Except, well, it hasn't really quite been ransacked. It's just that that the owner of the agency is a bit of a slob, and and Dick Deckchair needs some help in running his detective agency. And then they see a fire in the distance, and the adventure is on. So it's fantastic. Murder Unlimited is one that I didn't have from the series as a kid, but it's just as good. And again, the same format. You have the clues in the magnifying glasses, the invitation to solve the mystery yourself, but then also, if you really want to, you can understand how the story worked out in the back. All great stuff. And in that sense, my hang on, my collection of books has reached, I think, a healthy amount. I don't need to add too many to this collection. There's also one more that I spotted as we were going through the pile, but not, interestingly, Usborne Young Puzzles, nor Usborne Young Puzzle Books, but rather Usborne Young Puzzle Adventures. This is Uncle Pete the Pirate. Again, Susanna Lee, same author as Puzzle Island, illustrated by the same artist as well. So, of course, I couldn't resist getting this guy, which is, again, presented very nicely in the art style that I found so much intrigue in on Puzzle Island. Look at those cliff faces and the grass. But also presented as a beautiful little storybook. So this is probably for the youngest audience out of most of the books today, I guess. But the Usborne Young Puzzle Adventures is, again, it's another sort of medium format, not large format, slightly smaller. But another spin, another angle, another take on the formula. So there we go. My entire Usborne Puzzle Book collection, which began so many years ago with Escape from Blood Castle. These books are fantastic and have stuck with me for my entire life, I think because of their tremendous quality and their invitation, as I say, to adventure, but also the fact, hang on, there we go, the fact that they trust you as the audience to read them carefully, to pace yourself, to try and solve the puzzles, and to know when you need a bit of help. They have stood the test of time, and I suppose continue to excite and even challenge me to this day. They I think are pitched perfectly, and I adore them. Hopefully you've enjoyed this exploration of my collection. Are there any that are your particular favourites that I have not read yet, perhaps, or that aren't in my collection? What are your Usborne puzzle books of choice? As I say, for me, Escape from Blood Castle is the top one. It's the one I always go back to, and also it is in fact number one of the entire series. Maybe that's no coincidence. But yeah, if there's one that I haven't got, or one that you particularly think I really need to appreciate, please do comment below, let me know, because I'm always up for another adventure. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, do take care. Bye bye.